Hello and welcome to ApexToOval. I'm your host Alex. We are again without Jack as he's on vacation. Um, but you have me, so hopefully I will do. Um, Today is going to be a quick, easy podcast. Um, I don't really, I don't really know what news stories are going on. I haven't been keeping up this week, um, because I just have been out of it this week. But we do have some race recaps as I did watch the races this week. We have the NASCAR Xfinity Series at Chicago, the NASCAR Cup Series at Chicago, the F1 British Grand Prix, and IndyCar at Mid Ohio. We also have predictions for this upcoming week in Xfinity, Cup, and New Garden. My predictions, I did not get Jax. I did not want to bother him on his vacation. And we have a main story, which we'll get into. It is NASCAR related. So let's get into the race recaps. Now, I watched the least of the Xfinity race, but I was able to catch the end. SVG was your winner, which I correctly guessed. Connor Zilic came in second, which is what Jack guessed. And overall, I thought it was a really good race, and it had a controversial finish with SVG and Connor. You know, SVG overtook Connor Zilic. Connor really didn't really defend it that well, and could the move have been seen as dirty? Sure, but it is racing at the end of the day. Zilic owned up to it, said, I probably shouldn't have let him do that in the first place, and I should have kept the lead. So good on him. And that's all I'm going to say about the Xfinity Series. Because the Cup Series is where everything seemed to happen. Your winner again was SVG, so I got it correct. But let's be honest, if it's a road course and you're not picking SVG to win, there's an issue. Um, and Ty Gibbs came in second, and Jack picked Ty Gibbs. So 1-2 finish for me, 1-2 finish again for me in the Cup Series. But this had a lot more action. Early in the race, Carson Hocevar did a whoopsie as he went into the corner with too much speed, clipped the wall, spun around, and took up half the track, took out like 6 other guys. It was like, let me see if I could figure out who it was that he took with him. Austin Dillon, AJ Allmendinger, Brad Keselowski, Daniel Suarez, Todd Gilliland, and Will Brown. Allmendinger continued the race and was doing very well. But the rest of them, Dillon, Suarez, Keselowski, Gilliland, and Brown, all DNF'd from the race. Byron also had a clutch issue on lap 1, which kept him out damn near the entire race. Actually, took him out the entire race. So, yeah. And then let's talk about mid race, I would say. Mid to late game race. Reddick, and I might get this wrong, Briscoe were in the lead with SVG chasing him down. And, well, they pitted, right? And they were able to make their way back up. Now, I don't know where Briscoe finished. I probably should have looked that up beforehand. But I do know that Mr. Tyler Reddick finished in third with a controversial finish at the end. We'll talk about that. That is our main topic, is the controversial finish that took place at the end of this race that gave SVG the win. But I'm not going to talk about that now because we're going to talk about it as our main topic. But yeah, later in the race, Bubba got spun by early in the race, Bubba got spun by Larson while in P16. Bubba Wallace, what a race from you, right? You got spun once, got basically sent to the back, worked your way back up to what, P6, P7, and then got spun again by Bowman in retaliation. I mean, what a race from Bubba Wallace. He didn't finish well because he got spun by Bowman, but at the end. But what a freaking race, man. For someone who's not good at road courses, he has shown a lot of improvement. Barry ended up spinning. Busch spun well in P6 in the early middle of the race and was able to recover to P5. McDowell, oh yeah. And SVG was not your race leader for the first 32 laps. He lost it off the line. And guess who took the lead for the first 32 laps of the race? It was Michael McDowell, who led the entire first stage in the first couple laps of the second until he had a pedal issue, which caused him to go to the garage, and he was in there for a while, and it sucked because what a race it could have been for Michael McDowell. He races for Spire. It was their first ever stage win. Not long ago, earlier this season, Carson Hocevar got their first ever pole position. I mean, if McDowell doesn't have a pedal issue, he might win this race. And SVG's reign of terror might have ended. We really don't know. But man, was McDowell dominant in these first 30 something laps. Catherine Legg got into the wall at lap 40. Busch got a penalty for driving through too many pit boxes when he tried to pit for the last time. And Stenhouse ended up in the tires in lap 45. What's funny is I think a lot of NASCAR fans on Twitter were making bets on, Catherine Legg making the first whoopsie. And it was Carson Hocevar. So to everyone that thought Catherine Legg was going to cause an oopsie, screw you. It wasn't her. And she didn't do awful. Like, again, it's one of her first times in the Cup, right? She hasn't even had 10 starts in the Cup. She also is in a dog shit car. But she ended up 19th. 19th. After getting into the barriers on lap 40 of 72 or 75 or something like that. Like for lap 40, Catherine Legg did really freaking well this race, all things considered. Yeah, you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 DNFs. But there are 40 cars in the grid. 11 DNFs is 29th. She finished 19th, right? She was really, really good. So my props of the week is going to be going to Catherine Legg. Because everyone shits on her for being a bad driver. She's not a bad driver. She's been so successful in so many different series. It's not even her 10th start in the Cup Series, and she finished 19th in a shit box of a car. And I mean shit box. Like this car, I don't know which one she races for, but Live Fast Motorsport. Live Fast Motorsports sucks. They're not a good car. And she got P19 in that shit box. I mean, great on her. Props to her, proving why she deserves to get more runs in the Cup Series right there. And I believe she is in the Cup for the Cup race this week, which is another road course. Not road. Well, yeah, it is a road course, technically. Technically? It's not an oval, right? So she has a very good shot at doing really well. Again, at Sonoma. Or not Sonoma. What am I saying? Not Sonoma. It's not Sonoma next week. It is Sonoma next week. I was okay. She has another chance of doing really well at Sonoma, which is really good. But shout out to her. But again, Bubba v Bowman, they were fighting it out, and then Bowman retaliated and turned to Bubba, which I still think he shouldn't. I don't think he should have gotten into the next round of the $1 million in-game in-season championship. I don't think he should. Yeah, am I a Bubba fan? Yeah. Am I extremely biased? Yeah. But part of me is going back and forth. Like, does Bowman deserve to be in it, even though he purposely turned Bubba? Maybe. People have definitely done worse. So, realistically, it's not too bad. I just am salty that Bubba is not still in the in-season tournament. But he probably wouldn't have beaten anyone next week, so it's fine. So, and I am a huge Bubba fan. Let's get this straight. I just don't think that he's just not going to road courses, and Nick Sonoma's a road course. And Austin Hill, P9. I mean, a lot of people don't really want him to move up. I'm not going to lie. They want Zilich over Austin Hill, but P9? Damn. In a Cup? Austin Hill might deserve that promotion in this year, for next year. On to the F1 British Grand Prix in 4th of July weekend. Now, let's just go to F2 real quick. My man Jack Crawford, my US king, my American king, got P1. Alex Dutton got P2. He's British or Irish. Shit. We're doing a live check. Irish, not British, Irish. He's Irish. But let's go back to the F1 Grand Prix, British Grand Prix. Lando Norris is your winner. I picked Lewis. He finished P4. Lando finished P1. That was Jack's selection. Could Lewis have won this race? Maybe. Could Lewis gotten a podium? 100% if Ferrari wasn't such a terrible team. Let's be honest. We knew Ferrari was in hell even before Lewis got there. And if you're a Lewis fan, you're like, Ferrari. But like, now, as I'm saying as a Lewis fan, we're living in hell right now with Ferrari. And it's just like, why did we move? Why did we switch? But yeah, Oscar Piastri got a penalty. We'll talk about that. Colapinto DNS'd. For some reason, I actually did not catch the beginning of the formation lap. I don't know why. I don't know if he even did the formation lap. He just DNS'd. Lawson, Bortoletto, Hadjar, and Antonelli DNF'd. So there's 4 of your rookies right there who DNF'd. Leclerc had a rough race, finished outside the top 10. Russell also had a rough race, but finished P10. Gasly finished P6, so he's in the points. Max said he had a shitbox of a car and dragged it to P5, I believe. So it's not really that big of a shitbox if you're dragging it to P5, bud. But yeah, Stroll turned into Senna in the wet, got P7. Alonso got P9. I don't know what it is with Lance Stroll in wet races, but the man turns into Ayrton Senna. Or like Niki Lauda, or Max Verstappen, or like the dude just turns into a different driver in the wet. Like it's so funny to watch, But he turned into P7. He actually was higher than that for a good chunk of the race, but once it turned to dry, he kind of sucked. Not sucked. He didn't suck, but he had less pace in the dry. And the big thing from the British Grand Prix is Oscar Piastri and the 10-second penalty he got for braking during the safety car. Now, you might be saying, what does that mean? Why can you not brake during the safety car? And the answer to that is you can, but not as much as he did. The safety car was coming in, and Oscar Piastri, well, we thought Oscar Piastri was going and was going to restart the lap. But he hard braked towards the end of the lap, and Max flew past him and got a 10-second penalty for that because you're not allowed to do that. You're able to brake, but not as much as he did. And he ended up receiving a 10-second penalty. It ended up ruining his race. His confidence sucked after that. Lando ended up passing him. But even with his 10-second penalty, he ended up 5 seconds behind Lando when Lando was like 10 seconds ahead of him. Once he pitted. And all you can think about is, well, what would have happened if he didn't have his 10-second penalty? He would have been ahead of Lando. Because that 10 seconds, he would have been 5 seconds ahead of Lando with with like 4 laps to go and probably would have won. But the most important thing about this race, Nico Hulkenberg, let me say it again, Nico Hulkenberg, finished on the podium. His first ever podium in F1. He's had so many chances to get a podium, and every single time has come up just short. And he's finally done it. It was also Sauber's first podium since 2012 or 2013 or something like that. Like, that's disgusting from an F1 team. Granted, Haas joined in 2016 and still doesn't have a podium, but it is what it is. Or maybe it was 2015, or I don't really know. But Hulkenberg got a podium. And, one thing that sucks about Lando and Oscar being the fastest car is they don't really deserve it. And by that, I mean, in this one scenario, they did not deserve to have the faster car. And I would have preferred them to DNF or at least finish outside the podium because Nico Hulkenberg, again, got his first ever podium and they decided not to spray him at all. Lando barely sprayed him at the end, but like dude, you're on the podium with someone who got their first ever podium after what? Freaking 13, 14, 15 years in F1, and you're not going to spray him? Disgraceful. They don't deserve anything good. I actually wish they weren't on the podium because Lewis and Max were right behind him, and those two would have done so well with Nico on the podium. They've proven when people get their first podiums or like their first wins, those two, Max and Lewis, are spraying them down. Lando and Oscar didn't. Anyway, IndyCar. Your winner was Scott Dixon. There are some words that have been said, and it's never count Scott Dixon out. And that was shown today. Dixon, I believe, started like 6th on the grid, I believe. He certainly didn't start. He started 9th. My bad. He started 9th on the grid, finished in 1st. Was able to fuel save the hell out of this race, which is nuts. The dude is so good at fuel saving. I had Pillow, he finished 2nd. Jack had Kirkwood, he finished 8th. Newgarden was out on lap 1 with a crash with Rahal. Will Power was out on lap 12 because of smoke and fire coming from his car. Rasmussen was out on lap 30 because he ran out of fuel. Rinus VK went from 26th to 9th in a beautiful drive from him. Pillow led 75 of the 90 laps. The other 11, well, not other 11, there was 90 laps, 75 by Pillow, 11 by Dixon, 3 by Herta, 1 by Kiffin Simpson, and that was it. But Pillow led 75 out of the 90 laps, looking for a dominant win in Mid-Ohio. And he made a mistake. Now, it wasn't caught on camera fully what the mistake was at first, but then they showed the replay. He went wide. Like, he screwed up his line, went wide, and went off the track. And Dixon, who was only 4 seconds behind him, was able to overtake him. The funny thing is, Pillow still had more push to pass. He had like 10 more seconds of push to pass than Scott Dixon, but Scott Dixon was able to maneuver that push to pass to outlast Pillow's and was able to take the race win. Anyway, let's go to race recap. Next week, we have Xfinity at Sonoma. Saturday, July 12th at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have the Cup Series race at Sonoma, Sunday, July 13th at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And IndyCar at Iowa Speedway at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's also on July 13th. So let's get into my predictions. I don't have Jax again. I don't want to bother him. So let's get into mine. For Xfinity, I have Zelich. This is a road course. This is not an oval. And even though it's not an oval, I'd still pick Zelich for an oval at this point. But it's a road course. I got Zelich. He's the hot hand. Finished 2nd. Probably should have won this past week. And for that, I have Connor Zelich. For the Cup, I have SVG. It's a road course, technically. Like, I don't know what you consider Sonoma, but I consider it a road course because it's not an oval. And I have SVG for that because the dude's just unworldly talented at street and road courses. And for IndyCar, I have Joseph Newgarden, who has 6 wins at Iowa and is arguably the best driver at Iowa. So that's a no-brainer to me. I know Penske's done dog water these past couple of weeks. Since this entire season, Penske's been dog water, which sucks. I like Penske too. Joseph Newgarden's one of my favorite drivers. You know, number 1 is Christian Rasmussen, aka Razzie. Shout out Jordan. I don't want to say her name. Also, I have something funny to say about IndyCar, but Christian Rasmussen, number 1 favorite driver. You can't beat him. And with a social media manager, Jordan, you can't beat the both of them. Your social media ain't going to be better than them. Just deal with it. Number 2, I have Marcus Armstrong. 3rd favorite, Scott Dixon. 4th, Alex Palou. 5th, Joseph Newgarden. Got to go with Joseph Newgarden. 6th, Pato. 7th, Marcus Ericsson. 8th, Louis Foster. 9th, Alexander Rossi. And 10th, just for the name alone, I got to go with Stingray Robb. Like, that's a fire name for an IndyCar driver. Like, that's a banger name, is Stingray Robb. That's my top 10 favorite. Anyway, let's go to our main story. And that is, does NASCAR need to rework race control? Now, the big issue with this past week at Chicago was Cody Ware crashed. He crashed into a barrier with maybe a quarter of a lap left. It took 28 seconds between when Ware crashed on the second to last lap and the yellow flag was given. That didn't make any sense when I said it. 28 seconds between when Ware crashed and the yellow flag was given. Coincidentally, the yellow flag was given after SVG crossed the line for one lap to go, and SVG won. Ty Gibbs in second, and Tyler Reddick in third. The issue is, it took 28 seconds. Last year when something like this happened, it took literally like a second or two. This time, 28. Now, there were some things that there was hypothetical thunder and rain, which would have put an issue into this race. Especially if it was lightning. So I think they wanted to just end it, because there were lightning and rain looking to show up in the race. But Reddick was on a lot newer tires and was basically a second a lap quicker than SVG and Ty Gibbs. Had the race continued for the last lap, Reddick probably wins the race. If they throw the yellow flag when it should have, or when they threw the caution when they should have, Reddick probably wins. He wins either way if the race continues. It was coincidental that the caution was thrown out after SVG crossed the line. It is weird. Now, I personally think, Bob Parker's actually tweeted about this and made some very solid points retaining to the caution that was thrown. Let me scroll to it. Bob Parker said, NASCAR didn't see initial impact from their monitors and race control, just saw the car and the barriers. So wanted to give time to see if he could move the car, as had been done in previous wrecks at Chicago. Threw the caution when window net was unhooked because it meant the car wouldn't move. Then he added on, which begs the question of how to make it so when there is such an impact, official in the area can indicate that. Right now, official typically says turn 6 to make sure tower is aware of the incident, and if possible, more officials monitoring radios to pass along info. Then he said they do have race officials, but their current procedure is the official doesn't say over the radio hard wreck and turn 6. They say turn 6, and race control makes decisions. Sometimes by inflection you can tell if there's some urgency. Then somebody quote tweeted him saying, with all the money resources NASCAR has, why the F is there any place on any track they race at not visible to race control? Then Parker's responded, I'm not saying things couldn't be better, but even if everything is visible doesn't mean you can see it all and process in a second. You might be more focused on the leaders or another situation in the moment. Then somebody else said that NASCAR should let a separate entity take control of the cautions and all that. And then Parker said, inconsistency already is often an issue, and you want more people making decisions. I think that's the challenge and worth the discussion. You have, let's say, 10 officials in 10 different spots. What one considers a hard hit / yellow worthy might not be the same as the others. And then he says, in my opinion, where they dropped the ball is not knowing how hard the hit was. What was said on the radio and procedures / video they used to know / alert the tower. The call itself, I get, because they waited a long time to throw cautions all day to see if people could move. And then, yeah, that is all he said. So But they said that the race control said that rain or lightning was not part of the decision. Overall, it's a big, just idiotic mess over in NASCAR right now, and not a bad thing, right? Obviously, this may need to be talked about more to create a better solution for cautions and for race control. But it's like 28 seconds is how long. Like, my issue is that 28 seconds is how long it took. In those 28 seconds, SVG crossed the finish line to make it one lap to go, and then the caution was out. Why are you throwing the caution there if that's the case? You already let 28 seconds by. Half the grid is already passed Ware. Why are you throwing it then? Tell them on the spotters to be careful. Now, yes, safety is a big issue, and if Ware got hit, that would have been astronomically bad, right? But you're going to call it not when there's 2 laps left and you have plenty of time to check, but when there's 1 lap left, and not just 1 lap left, right after SVG crosses the finish line for 1 lap to go. That's what I don't understand. NASCAR definitely needs to rework race control and the way they handle things, obviously, if this is how it's going to happen every single damn time. But it's something you might need to address in the off season. Because again, if the race goes on, Reddick wins. If the race is cautioned with 2 laps to go, Reddick wins, right? There's no scenario other than throwing the caution on the last lap where Reddick doesn't win. That was the only scenario in which Reddick doesn't win. And also, this has had astronomical issues with the playoffs, right? Because if we go to the standings real quick, where is he? Tyler Reddick is 5th. He's 48 points behind William Byron in 1st. He doesn't have a race win. He doesn't. No race wins for Tyler Reddick. SVG already has a race win. Tyler Reddick gets a race win. He's in the playoffs, damn it. He's in the playoffs. And now, I mean, there's still more than what? You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 drivers with wins. I believe there is more than 4 races remaining. Again, I believe. Because we're at Sonoma. Then we have Sonoma, Dover, Indy, Iowa, Watkins Glen, Richmond, Daytona. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 races. Say 4 new drivers win, right? Just throw out some hypotheticals because this isn't realistic, right? But let's throw out some hypotheticals. Bowman wins. Buescher wins. Bubba wins. Preece wins. That's 16. Reddick would not make the playoffs unless he got multiple wins. That's not going to be good. If Reddick ends up missing the playoffs because he has no wins, there's going to be a lot of discourse in NASCAR. A lot of discourse. Also want to point out this race helped SVG jump into the top 30 drivers in point standings. He's now over 300 points. First place is over double him. He has 308 versus 632. Yeah. It just sucks that Reddick was removed of his win. I mean, that's basically it. Like, you can't tell me that Reddick didn't deserve the win. He deserved the win. He was the 1 second faster lap, and with 1 lap to go, he would have won this race. Even with the caution, he would have won the race. Again, the only way he loses this race is if they call it with 1 lap to go, and that's what they did. So they definitely need a lot more reworking for race control. Anyway, that is it for this podcast. I'm sorry it's so short. It's still 30 minutes. A lot of it is me ranting. Sorry it's short. Jack's not here. I wasn't really paying attention to the news articles. I will this week, and I have been so far this week. But yeah. Sorry it's a short one, but I hope you guys enjoyed. Have an amazing day, and thank you for watching Apex to Oval.